Hello, I'm Elizabeth, an obsessive backyard gardener who might be able to offer you a couple of tips.
And I'm Keith, a landscape consultant, and I'm also passionate about gardening.
The one thing we both have in common is muddy boots. Muddy Boots is proudly sponsored by Clyde Compost, the premium compost trusted by gardeners who want results. Packed with goodness, free from nasties, and perfect for healthy soil and thriving plants. Visit clydecompost.com and tell Vince we sent you. With spring now in full swing, this month's Q&A is packed with questions. Lawn care seems to be very popular this month, along with veggie garden, soil additives. Did you get that? Hibiscus problems, organic weed solutions, and more. Let's start with question number 1, Keith.
Come on, give it to me.
Okay, it's from Sarah. With 2 small children, gardening is my self-care and creative outlet. I've moved to a new property where the backyard lawn has seen better days. The soil here is heavy clay and it has cracks in it big enough to stick your hand into. I think this might be the result of the clay drying out, but I'm not sure. I don't have a big budget, but I'm wondering how I can salvage this to get rid of the cracks and unevenness. I'm also wondering if I need to remove all existing weeds and lawn before growing a new one, or can I pull the weeds out by hand and then overseed the grass that is left, Keith?
Yeah. Hi, Sarah. You have what is known in the industry as a reactive soil. This soil cannot be remedied by using gypsum to flocculate the fine clay particles to bind them into what are called aggregates. So that's not going to work. Yeah. The best solution is to add as much organic matter as you possibly can into the soil of the gaps that are left by the drying soil. So rather than pulling the weeds out, the best thing you can do would be to use something like a Flying Dutchman's hoe and just take off the top. And then just leave those roots in because, believe it or not, the likes of those weeds will have a taproot, and that taproot is anchoring that plant, but it's also pulling up goodness from the soil and storing carbon in the soil. So just go through and knock the tops off of the weeds where you can. Let the organic matter just rot away and you'll be fine with that. And the other thing that you need to be doing is testing your soil for its pH and adjusting that where possible. So we're looking at getting a pH roughly around about the 6.5 mark for your soil. And you can buy a test kit from Bunnings called Manutech, and they're absolutely brilliant. And then read what the results are from your pH test and make the adjustments as per the instructions on the box. And then next thing I'd be doing is I'd be applying something like Rooster Booster by Nutrog, because it's got a great organic content. And you can go out and throw that and maybe even throw some down the actual holes that are being created by the soil opening up. And this will help to expand the amount of organic matter that you can possibly have in your thing. The other thing you can do is actually sow some lawn seed. You don't need to go out and buy an expensive one. Just get a cheap old one from the big green warehouse or somewhere else and just spread that around. And if you're going to do that, and you're worried about things drying out too much over the summer months, if you could go to, say, a farm supply place that has straw hay, not grass hay, but straw hay, and once you put your seed down, break up the straw hay into biscuits. They'll break up into biscuits which are roughly about 50 mil thick. You can break that into half again and just put that over the soil and then water it in. And that, by the watering, that will lock those particles of straw together. Oh. It will then create warmth as it's starting to decompose, which will help germinate the seeds, and bang, it'll all come up. So I think that's probably the best thing you can do.
That's a good recipe there.
Good recipe?
It's a big recipe, but it's a good one. Zoe has the next question. I have a question regarding my well-established hibiscus. A couple of months ago, we cut down our palm tree and added all the stump grinds to the base of this hibiscus, as it was the only spot that was out of the way. 2 months later, our hibiscus is looking terrible. It's losing leaves, and those that are left are either curling or have red spots all over them. I'm pretty sure it's from the palm tree waste below, which will remove ASAP, but what can we do to make our hibiscus happy again? I love it too much and I'm feeling very guilty that I've killed it.
Ooh, Zoe, hibiscus have a taproot that it sends down deep into the soil, and that anchors that particular plant. And then that plant will produce a very, very fibrous root system that is close to the surface. So these hibiscus come from the tropics. So they're a plant that is in an area where they're getting a lot of leaf litter that decays very, very quickly. Now, the roots, the palms and so forth that you've had over the top of that contains nearly no goodness whatsoever. So as you've had that over the soil, microbes are stealing nitrogen that's deep down in the soil to break that stuff down. So get rid of it as much as you possibly can, and then get some nitrogen over that soil. So something like Rooster Booster will be perfectly all right to apply with that. And then you'll find that will help to stimulate the plant. The other thing that you should be looking at doing in actual fact is applying something like sea salt, a seaweed solution, and that will help stimulate the root growth and root development. And then maybe try something like Populate.
I was about to ask. You
Good
got
girl.
there just before I was about to ask.
Neutron Populate. Get that onto any plant that's looking a little bit on the sus side, because that will put the beneficial microbes that will help that plant on its way to
Come back to
vigor,
life.
health and
Come
vigor.
back to life, hopefully.
Absolutely.
Good luck with that, Zoe. Okay, now we have a question from Betty. Can you tell me what grass seed you think grows best in Frankston South, which is very close to us in
Very
Mount Eliza?
close.
We are on about 3,000 square metres just off Murdoch Highway, and we want to refresh a large section of the yard which will have little feet often playing on it. That sounds lovely. I'd also love to get your Monash Organic discount code.
Goodness, what could it be?
I don't know, what is it?
Monash discount code. It is Keith20. KEITH20, and that will get you a 20% discount off Monash Rock Dust.
There you go.
So how about that?
That's fantastic.
All right. So for the lawn seed for large areas, I suggest you have a look at lawn seeds by a company called Munns, MUNNS. And the seed types that I suggest you use for this particular area are a mix of ryegrass and fescue. And then I would also be contacting BioStim at info@biostim.com.au and see if you can get yourself some Myco Gold, because the Myco Gold will help invigorate the root systems on those grasses when they start to grow, and it'll just absolutely take off. The thing about those types of grasses, fescue and ryegrasses, they are upright growing grasses. So you need to remember this. When you have an upright growing grass, so there's the ground is here. The top is nice and long, and therefore the roots below the ground are going to be nice and deep. When you start reducing the height of the grass on the top above the ground, the root system comes up because it doesn't need to support too much growth. And the more that you lower that grass, the less roots you have but deep down in the soil, so that when the first hot day comes along in summer, it dries out those very, very shallow roots, and you've wasted all your time, your effort, and your money. So keep the grass nice and long.
So
2
don't
inches,
mow
2
it
inches.
too
Don't mow it anything below 2 inches.
Yep.
Ryegrass and fescue, and of course feed it on a regular basis with Rooster Booster.
Rooster Booster again.
Yep, it's a great feed. Or if you want to go down a really great organic way, Munns have an organic lawn fertiliser, which is just absolutely fantastic.
That's good to know. Yeah.
Also consider getting yourself a prepping fork, and during the warmer months, use your prepping fork to get deep holes penetrated down to get the moisture in the air and everything else down there. And I tell you what, you'll have the best grass that those kids will run on.
Kids will be running
anywhere in Frankston South.
Kathy's question is next. She says, I live in a gorgeous renovated heritage cottage, lucky girl, in the suburb of Ainslie in the inner north of Canberra. I've been slowly chipping away at the old garden which needs wrangling. A major problem is a weed called Italian arum that is infiltrating everywhere. Mm-hmm. It's even coming up through the new turf and pebble paths that have a deep road base. In my planting of new trees, I have found the roots and small ball-shaped bulbs of the Italian arum, and I know that this is how it is self-perpetuating. I'm not a fan of poisons, but how can I control this weed without digging up and removing large areas of the beautiful soil I have here?
Believe it or not, Kathy, this is not the only question I've had recently for this problem. I've had another couple that have come in with exactly the same problem. This is Arum italicum, and it is a real pain in the bum. What you can do is smother it. And by smothering, you could put down cardboard or newspaper over the top of it and just let it to rot down. And you've got to understand is that because it is from a bulb, it has got stored energy. So when you see the leaves from a plant that produces that comes from a bulb, it is using energy from last year to actual grow. And when those leaves are up, the energy it's getting from the sun is being put back into the bulb to grow next year's leaves and flowers and all the rest of it. Mm-hmm. So you've got to look at it from a point of view where you are spraying it or killing it twice. So smother it is one great way of doing it. Or
so how long does it have to? The cardboard has to stay there for a long
and that's
time.
the problem.
You're probably not going to like that in a heritage pretty cottage and the cardboard everywhere.
I mean, it's awful, but you can put a mulch over the top of it and hide it that way. Yeah. That's one way of doing it. The other way you could do it, in actual fact, is to use a herbicide called Firehawk, which is 100% organic. So actually, when it is sprayed onto leaves, it will kill the leaves straight away. And to give you an idea, I have had oxalis in my garden bed, all from bulbs, and from a particular potting mix company, they might just say they've come from. And I have sprayed Firehawk on the oxalis and gone back in 2 hours, and it is dead in 2 hours.
I've been using it a lot too.
And it is just absolutely brilliant. What will then happen is that bulb will use the energy that's still stored in it and produce some more leaves, so you've got to go out there and hit it again. And by doing that, you are depleting the energy in that bulb, and that bulb will just turn over and die.
Eventually.
It
will.
Not overnight.
It will get the message eventually.
It won't happen overnight, but it will happen.
Yeah, okay, fantastic.
It's not an easy solution.
No. Bit like something else I have out there. Anyway, we're not going to discuss that today.
No.
The next question from Tanya is a fabulous advertisement for Nutrog products. Tanya says, I have had a busy few days filling lawn patches with new seed and feeding seaside daisy seedlings with go-go juice that I planted in early July. I've also planted some violas and primulas in pots, top-dressed those with hooflung dung, and fed my roses post-pruning with sudden impact for roses. Do you think the roses would benefit from composting with hooflung dung or lucerne? My iceberg roses have old mulch and leaves surrounding them. Should I completely remove the old mulch or just remove the mulch around the base of the rose, feed with sudden impact, and then top up the existing mulch?
Sounds like you have the lawn almost under control. However, I think that you could do a little bit of extra work, I'm sure on that. You're using all the right products and maybe considering things like sea salt with wetting agents will allow to get better, deeper water penetration. Check your soil pH and use Chock-a-Block wherever you can, which is a beautiful tested compost. That's go-go juice.
That's another Nutrog product as well.
Yep.
Okay, so after you finished, have you? Is that your answer done? After that question and great promo, as I said, this is a great time to remind our listeners that Nutrog has a fantastic monthly newsletter which is filled to the brim with the latest gardening tips, also inspiring stories, new product releases, and a whole lot more. So to subscribe, just log on to their website, nutrog.com.au, and look for the Home Gardener page where you can sign up. It is definitely worth the monthly read. Okay, next question. Nathan, I think it is. Nathan is next, and he says, I have the speedwell weed, which I think is also called bird's eye, and it's growing thickly and quickly in an old, unused chicken pen at the back of our block. There are flowers everywhere, and it's starting to pop up around both our front and back lawns. What can I do? It's not super ugly, but I don't want a lawn covered in weed and blue flowers.
I don't mind the colour of the flowers.
Well, he does.
But that's not me.
He doesn't want it.
Nathan, the only organic way to control this is to hand pull it and do so before it sets the seeds. The non-organic method is to use a selective herbicide, and the safest, in my opinion, is one called DSMA, or if you can source a product called dicamba. These are probably some of the better, safer herbicides that you can apply, and make sure you do so without any rain or wind. I've used this product years ago when I was working at Turf Research, and if you time it right, it will be in a kill mode in about 4 hours. And I've actually seen the leaves just curl up within 4 hours. And that's a great way of doing it. The other way to do it is to go out and hand spot spray with Firehawk. And I think that's the only way to do it. And when you get that under control, then apply some Munn's Organic Lawn Fertiliser. This is a great organic solution to those soils. I hope this helps.
Okay, so no smothering those ones in because there's no bulb. Right, okay.
No.
Okay. Demika has a question about her vegetable garden now. I want to top up my veggie garden beds with compost as the soil level has dropped and I plan to plant some veggies in spring. I have a layer of sugarcane mulch still on top, which I have since learnt from you that I should swap to hoo-flung dung. But when it comes to topping up the beds with compost, can I just put the compost straight on top of the old mulch and then re-mulch on top of that? Or do I need to clear away all the old mulch, then add compost and new mulch?
Demika, I suggest that you apply over the top of the sugarcane mulch a handful per square metre of either Rooster Booster by Nutrog or Blood and Bone. Now, Nutrog actually produce a Blood and Bone. I forget what it's called, but it's got some funny name. But they produce an organic form of Blood and Bone. Apply your compost, then fork it in deep into the soil profile. And if you get yourself an FD Ryan prepping fork, this will be the best tool that you will have ever purchased for that particular purpose. Apply go-go juice as per the instructions to inoculate the soil with microbes, then mulch it with your hoo-flung dung after that. And if you can get some something like the Monash rock dust,
Yep.
That's going to feed the microbes, it's going to feed this, going to feed that, and then feed the plants. And I think that's just the bit. Always allow your soil for a couple of weeks to rest to get all this going. And I hope that helps.
I'm sure it does. I hope it does too. Our last question for this Q&A is from Pamela. She says, now that we are in spring, I have fed our fruit trees and am preparing our vegetable beds with compost, etc. for planting summer crops. However, I would like some advice on other parts of the garden. We live on a 2-acre semi-rural property in Margaret River, WA. We are surrounded by beautiful Mari and Pepe trees, and our actual garden covers approximately 1 acre. We have a Mediterranean climate, and over the last 10 years, our clay soil has been improved using compost, manures, blood and bone, and rock minerals. That all sounds perfect. We have hedges, deciduous trees, perennials, ornamentals, bulbs, succulents, and natives. Oh, it sounds divine. Many of our plants are cuttings from our own garden and that of friends. Each spring, I've been feeding plants with compost and the natives with bush tucker, which is another Nutrog product, but it's a very time-consuming task. It's a bit like painting the harbour bridge. By the time you finish, it's time to start again. I think we all, as gardeners, we all know that one.
We all know that one.
I've thought to feed different areas throughout the year or use something like Rooster Booster pellets or similar, which would make the task much easier. Any suggestions you have to keep my garden happy and thriving and save my back would be most welcome. Keith?
Pamela, you've got yourself a big task there, a big job. The first thing that you need to do is get yourself a moon calendar and work to it, because you'll be working with nature and not against it. You'll be working with the sap flows and not against the sap flows. I would also suggest that you use Myco Gold, which you can get from info@biostim.com.au. Just go through and send them an email and buy whatever quantity you want from that, and use that on all your exotic trees, and this will help them survive on a lot less. Which I think is a great key. And then keep the Rooster Booster away from all your native plants and plants that are sensitive to phosphorus, because they will turn the little toes up. And using these suggestions should reduce your workloads in feeding, cutting and watering. And that's going to save you an awful lot of time. But goodness sakes, get onto the moon calendar, because it is just the most beneficial thing that you'll do. And do you know the website for that?
I was going to ask you.
moongardeningcalendar.com.
Is it?
Pretty sure that's it.
Look up moon gardening calendar anyway. Google it and it'll come up.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And it's perpetual. So, once you've bought one,
it lasts
$15 plus postage, you've got it forever.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And they're great.
It is fantastic. That is it. That's it for this month's Q&A,
Goodness
so you can have a rest
gracious.
now. Thank you again for sending in your questions. Please don't hesitate to keep sending them either via Muddy Boots Facebook or Instagram messages, or email us at our new email address, which is muddybootspodcast01@gmail.com. Now it's time to announce the winner of this month's Q&A prize, Keith.
Ooh.
And this
Who
prize,
gets it?
this month's prize from the Plant Runner goes to Sarah, who is battling with the clay soil on her new property. Congratulations, Sarah. We will be in touch with you shortly. Thanks, as always, to the team at the Plant Runner for supplying the monthly Q&A prize, which is fantastic. We most appreciate that. Go to theplantrunner.com for all your indoor plant care needs. Bye. Thank you for listening to Muddy Boots. For more information on today's podcast, please go to muddyboots.net.au, and happy gardening.